Having gone through medical training after awakening, there was definitely challenge with, going into a space where it was like really intense reading and learning and conceptual, all of it, and then going back into this sort of space of beingness. Um, I recommend a good amount of meditation in this space. Meditation is very helpful because it really just helps you remain anchored in that sort of spaciousness and that more undifferentiated consciousness. Um, and so then when you have to move into an academic space or a space where you have to read a lot and assimilate a lot of information or talk in terms of concepts and so forth, you're able to switch back out of that more readily, is what I find when you give yourself the space to just let the mind really rest when you're not in that space. I think the transition can take a while to get used to, for sure, the being able to transition between those. But it's important to just say that's okay. Like, there's no reason to be super impatient about all this. It's going to take a while to really clarify. You will get to a point where even reading, even interacting with people in a sort of academic setting can become um, rather peaceful, like where it doesn't really put you in your head. It seems like it has to, but it doesn't actually have to. But it does take some time to unlearn those habits. Actually, I think some of it really is what we don't realize is when we're in certain settings where people tend to be rather heady, they're also sort of repressing emotion a little bit so that they can be up in the mind, and we will empathically pick that up. So we start doing it empathically, and then we think it's because of the information or the conversations. Partially, it's just because we have an empathic response to other people. Now, especially if you've had trauma, you're going to have often a hyper empathic response, meaning you just pick cues up very, very quickly and you'll assimilate them and your body will respond to them very quickly. And it'll respond with your types of um, coping mechanisms that you developed out of trauma, right? So it's really, really helpful to just investigate and just know yourself in this way. Know which trauma responses you tend to go to in certain situations, right? And it's not always the same, but there may be somewhere it's more of like a flight. There may be somewhere it's more of a freeze. There may be somewhere it's more of a fawn. It can be all kinds of things. But knowing yourself is helpful because then you can sort of watch it happen in real time. And the more clear you are on what's happening, the more aware you are of what's happening, the less you will identify with it. And the less you identify with it, the more it'll settle. This will take some time, and that's okay. Be patient. Just know you're doing good work. Like there's you can only do so much. Any of us can only do so much. And just be patient. Give yourself plenty of time to sit and meditate and really find those things that soothe you. Find the things in life, whatever they are, that soothe you and give yourself permission to do them. When we come from trauma, often we tend to be hyper vigilant to other people in all kinds of ways. And that can be very distracting. It can either be fawning, or we can be chasing or pursuing or avoiding or fighting or arguing, or it can be all kinds of things. But it's just a sort of hyper vigilance with other people in various settings. And that can really drain us, and it can drain our attention away from ourselves, from really just taking care of yourself. And you have the capacity to take care of yourself, and just really refine that capacity, refine your capacity to take care of yourself, and refine your knowledge of how that works. What makes you actually feel soothed, what makes you feel at home, what makes you feel grounded, and trusting yourself more and more, and just really build that and develop that over time. For anyone, there's a lot of that with this, where parts of your identity will just drop and you feel less inhibited than you did before. So there's less of the inhibitory part of ourself that was sort of false. But then underneath, sometimes there's other drives that are not fully congruent with our deepest self, but they also have to express. And that can be like, whoa, like you just let the governor off, and there's like behaviors that want to come forward, and you got to kind of manage that, but also trust yourself more and trust the process. So there is there's a bit of a give and take with this, and little by little you'll learn to trust this process more and more, trust yourself more and more, and it'll work out.